Welcome to the Fantasy Football Fanatics podcast with your hosts Griffin Palmer, CJ Hickman, Jason Cabrera, and Ryan Mitchell.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the show. It is Friday, June 8th. This is the Fantasy Football Fanatics podcast, the official podcast of thefantasyfootballfanatics.com. I am your host, Griffin Palmer, joined by both CJ the Hitman Hickman and Jason Cabrera. What is up, guys?
What is going on? What's up?
What's up? The gang's back together. It all worked out. My plan worked. You know, we did a little bit of a curveball on Tuesday's show, but we got it right for Friday. And today we've got quite the show for everyone out there. Today we're going to be talking about backfields to avoid in 2018. Now, these are not, don't ever draft these guys type things. We're talking about the situation and how that should impact basically your evaluation for your drafts, where you think they should be going, because a lot of these guys, they're probably going a lot higher than they should, so maybe you'll want to pass on them for somebody else, and that's kind of what we'll be getting into today. As always, if you guys enjoy the show, make sure you subscribe wherever you're listening, whether that be on the Apple Podcast app, Google Play, Podcast Addict, YouTube, the works, we're all over. You can submit your questions to us easily on various sources. Most commonly, we find them on Twitter at the FF Fanatics. You can support the show also by going over to patreon.com/thefantasyfootballfanatics. Get yourself some bonus perks over there, including bonus, more advanced episodes. And with that, I guess let's get right into it. We have some top headlines from around the league. Not a lot to talk about today, but there are a few. And I guess we'll start with the one that is kind of sad. My Baltimore Ravens lost their last two OTAs and have been fined. The owner, Steve Bisciotti, fined $100,000. Head coach John Harbaugh fined for $50,000. And this is because they were being too aggressive in pass coverage during practice. What is this league becoming?
What's this league becoming?
It's why don't we just put flags on and play touch football or flag football? I mean, come on.
Why won't you just learn? Everybody else is good.
Look,
but for some reason, Baltimore has to keep up their persona. Oh, we're tough guys.
We are tough guys.
We're tough guys here.
Look, just because this is the second time it's happened in 3 years doesn't mean that we can't learn from this and get better. Yeah,
you're not making it any better.
I know.
Yourself, right?
No, you're not.
Have you seen that scene in The Longest Yard where they're teaching them how to use like brass knuckles and stuff? That's what I envision whenever I'm thinking about a Baltimore OTA.
Good. That's what we want people to think about. Be scared. Be scared of our defense.
I just feel like John Harbaugh is, he's basically being a face to everybody when he's on national television. But when he gets to the OTAs and the cameras off,
heel.
He's totally heel. He's like, "What are you doing? Taking a break? Get out of there!" You know what I'm saying? He's just
for winners.
He's got that one eye looking like Popeye, like he had a stroke, and then he has this cigar in his mouth the whole time.
Wendell, get me the ball. Go get me the ball. I can see that.
Anybody.
Oh yeah, don't kill anybody.
he's got a landmine out there in the 50-yard field. He's like, hey, Brashad Perriman, go get that ball.
Wow, we've crossed lines from The Longest Yard to The Replacements to a war movie. Yeah, so we get the idea. We'll just move on. But yeah, that's the Ravens. They apparently practice too hard for the current CBA, so that's a thing. To quarterback news, I can't believe we're still talking about this, but we have to cover it because it's important. Indianapolis Colts head coach Frank Wright insists that quarterback Andrew Luck is, quote, real close, end quote, to throwing.
So that's about 6 months out. He's good. He's good.
That's what we decided off the air. Yeah, that's about 6 months.
It's close. It's close.
He's so close.
He's close.
He's so close. He'll be ready for the 2019 season. So, yeah.
Like Weekend at Bernie's over there in Indianapolis. He's just like, yeah, he's fine. He's fine. Look, he's waving.
He's totally fine.
No, he's waving at you.
Ugh. I hate everything. I just want Andrew Luck to start throwing the ball.
I know you want your boy back, but listen, you don't want him to rush.
Look,
you don't want him to rush it.
An Andrew Luck playing in this league is better for real life football and it's better for fantasy football. So it's absolutely, get out of here. Of course it is. It adds more depth to all the positions and it helps the run game.
It may not be better for his arm though.
Listen, I mean, look, if Andrew Luck is not playing, I don't need to see the Colts on TV at all.
That's fair.
Literally. I don't need to see that.
He's pulling in big boy checks for not even doing anything.
Yes.
For healing. He's healing. That's part of his job, right? Let's go to the running back position, where Washington Redskins head coach Jay Gruden said, quote, "It's been very exciting," end quote, when asked about second-round running back Darius Geis catching the football. Now, of course, there's a bit of a narrative questioning his ability to catch the ball. Could be good news, could be hype, could be off-season narratives that we hear all the time. What do you guys think?
I mean, he can catch the ball out of the backfield. He's done it before. It's not something that's foreign to him necessarily.
Right.
It's just not. It's not his number one go. He's not Le'Veon Bell. He's not David Johnson. He's not any of those guys.
He's not a Christian McCaffrey.
He's not a Christian McCaffrey. He is more of a Leonard Fournette, up in north and south power runner. But again, he can catch out of the backfield.
Yeah. The guy he's got juice. I mean, he's definitely going to add another dimension to this offense. It's just about, him getting his opportunities and, hopefully everything is working out. I mean, this is a whole new system. I mean, as far as personnel coming in there. So it's all about the chemistry going on between the quarterback, offensive line, and then, of course, Darius Geis coming in there. And if they continue to stick with that, because they have a bad history of switching out running backs like it's freaking socks, and they're saying it's laundry. That's what these guys do.
Yep. Okay, with that, we'll move on. Wide receiver news. Cleveland Browns wide receiver Jarvis Landry said that quarterbacks in Cleveland are, quote, "a lot better than what I had in Miami," end quote.
Ooh.
Ouch.
Ooh.
Jade.
Right in Jay Cutler's mouth. Just pop in the mouth.
Them's is
phrasing on that one.
Well,
Jason.
not just Jay, but what about Tannehill?
I mean, he was hurt last year, though.
When's the last time you've seen Tannehill?
2 years ago.
You've seen Tannehill in 2 years.
Yeah.
He must be recent bias, so he's just talking about Jay Cutler. That's all it is.
Is that all it is?
Could be. I mean, Matt Moore, he was balling though. I mean, Matt Moore did what he could do.
He was serviceable at times, but
he was definitely better than
great.
Cutler. So,
I mean, but was he Tyrod Taylor good in our eyes?
You know what? I think this is the contract. This might be the contract talking. So
maybe
I'm not gonna put it past him.
Maybe he's just hyping up how excited he is about working with Baker Mayfield, huh? Could be. In other Cleveland news, Cleveland Browns quarterback Baker Mayfield, who we just mentioned, said that he has never seen anything like Josh Gordon. Not surprised. Josh Gordon's always been this. If you drew up a perfect NFL wide receiver, he checks most of those boxes. He's very Julio Jones-esque in that way. Freak athlete, big, fast. I mean, he was the #1 wide receiver in fantasy all those years ago. I can't imagine he's ever worked with someone of the status and stature of Josh Gordon. So, comes to mind.
I know. I felt the same way when I was in Griffin neighborhood the first time. I was just shocked and awe. His neighbors just looking at me.
What? Why? What? Okay.
Why you always gotta go there, man?
I mean, that's what Baker just did. He just went there.
Why does that have to do what he's saying? That's not what he's saying.
That is what he's saying. What are you talking about? He's never seen a tall, athletic black man? Is that what you're saying?
No, he's saying that he's never worked with someone of his stature. CJ, get out of here. CJ always playing the heel, always trying to get the pitchforks and the flames for no reason.
You're in the pie.
Wake up, Baker. Come on. You're not fooling me, Baker.
Oh, my God, CJ. I hate you so much. Other news. We're just going to move on. New England Patriots wide receiver Julian Edelman is facing a 4-game suspension for violating the NFL's performance-enhancing drugs policy. Well, there's that.
There you go.
Come on, Julian.
It's all right. They don't need him.
I mean, coming back from injury, maybe he was just trying to make sure he got back on time.
He's got the juice.
He got the juice. So, if he misses 4 games, what do you think this does to really the Patriots? I mean, does it change your targeting? What your thoughts are on Tom Brady? I mean, obviously we expect Gronk to be there, but who steps up? I mean, are we going to be more excited about Jordan Matthews, Chris Hogan, Malcolm Mitchell, Cordell Patterson maybe stepping up?
What do you normally say about this team? I mean, it's so sporadic all the time. You never know who's going to be the guy there, and I think that just continues in this particular situation. I think that more volume for those other guys and more spread out volume, and it's Tom Brady. He's going to spread the ball around. That's what he does best.
Oh, I know the answer is Philip Dorsett, by the way.
Yeah, that too.
Okay.
They're going to spread this ball around. They're going to give it to their backs. They're going to do the Patriot way. It's not one person. If it's not Tom Brady, they're going to be fine. You know what I'm saying? They'll be fine.
False. Philip Dorsett will carry this whole team on his shoulders. Watch.
That could be true.
Do not listen to this man right now.
I find it very unlikely. I point that out because I think he's the most natural one to fill that role, and he's currently in the depth chart behind Julian in the slot. So it's logical. But we'll see. So that's something. The appeal has already been filed, so we'll see if it's actually 4 games, if it is held up, if it's reduced. We'll know more in a bit. So with that, I guess let's get to why everyone's here. How fast do we get through the news? All right, about 10 minutes. That's not too bad. We got plenty of time to talk. So we're getting into our topic of the day, our backfields to avoid in 2018. Now, this is, again, as I mentioned, we're going to name some backfields with some pretty good fantasy players on them. We're not saying don't draft these guys. We're saying that maybe check their ADP, their average draft position, and with some of the information we're going to give you, maybe tweak that in your own personal rankings. So with that, some of the dangerous choices that we have down here. We'll start with the New York Jets. So, Jason, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts on the New York Jets backfield?
Under construction. I think that the Jets need to settle their quarterback situation, which I think is very close to being settled. I'm pretty sure Sam Darnold's going to be the guy sooner rather than later. And once that is settled, then I think the Jets are going to start thinking about figuring out how this offense is going to flow, because you need the quarterback first before you can do that, obviously. And then once that's done, then they're going to start looking at those issues that they've got in the backfield, things like how their offensive line is going to work, who's going to actually be the guy in the backfield, because right now that's kind of up for grabs a little bit. So I completely agree with you. I would steer clear of this backfield for right now.
This backfield is just littered with what the crap. It's like basically
I was expecting you to say jobbers, honestly.
No. There's the notable names here. There are notable names here that people are known of. You know what I'm saying? Isaiah Crowell, we both know him when he was playing with Cleveland. Bilal Powell, of course, we thought that, last year was going to be his magical year. You got Thomas Rawls there. You know what I'm saying? So you got these 3 guys, and then you got that gadget player that they liked. What was this? Elijah
McGuire?
Yeah, Elijah McGuire. So, so you got those 4 guys right there. So, their backfield is kind of looking like the Patriots. They got all these guys back there, and it's looking like, whatever tickles their fancy that week, that's who they're going to go out there and play. So I feel you on this. This is real murky. This is real muddled. But, I mean, you can look at this and, probably going to take your pick and say, I know Isaiah Crowell may be your guy. But, I mean, like I said, I'm not jumping in excitement over this backfield because it's just too many guys back there.
I mean, obviously we've got Isaiah Crowell. That's, I think, we expect to be the guy to target here. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
I
agree. Down back, yeah, I'd agree with that.
I mean, because the problem is this backfield just has so many players that can do the same thing. The quarterback position isn't the worst. I mean, they've got, obviously, a first-round pick in Sam Darnold, Teddy Bridgewater, Josh McCown. I think they're okay at quarterback. Their tight ends aren't going to be doing a lot, especially in pass catching. They're not going to be a distraction. The offensive line is questionable at best. Just so many names here. Like you said, there's Isaiah Crowell, Bilal Powell, Elijah McGuire. Thomas Rawls is there now. They just drafted Trenton Cannon. Didn't they have one other one? Lawrence Thomas is there. So some of these guys aren't going to be with the team come draft season. Some of these will probably end up being camp casualties, rather. But it's just very murky. So if we all agree that Isaiah Crowell is at least the guy to target, where would you be thinking about taking him? Or does this sound right to you? His current ADP is the last pick in the 7th round. Does that sound about right to you guys?
That sounds great. I was just about to say I wouldn't draft him until late. So yeah, that sounds good to me.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably the earliest, basically late 7th, 8th round, because it's just you're looking for a little bit of upside there in the mid rounds. You're not shooting for the stars. You have an okay floor, you would think, because we think he'll be a first, second down back, but I can't imagine that he's worth much more than that. I mean, we would love him as a post-hype sleeper, but he changed teams as well, which, as we all know, generally is a detriment the first year. Jason, your thoughts?
Yeah, but as you've said in the past, though, he's the kind of running back where it doesn't really matter what team he's on. You know, I mean,
True.
he's a straight north and south running back who's just going to hit the hole and try to get as many yards as he possibly can. I think 7th round would be good value for him, given the fact that he's going to be the 1-2 down back. And if this offensive line plays better than they look on paper, then he could actually be a very nice sleeper for you.
He could be. He could be. Let's go on to.
Having said that, I let me just say though, I still completely say avoid this backfield.
That's fair. With that, let's move on to the Green Bay Packers. Now, the Green Bay Packers have 3 running backs, all of which are noteworthy and all of which, based on who you talk to, are being talked up as possibly the lead guy there. Obviously, there's Ty Montgomery, who was the starter last year, who was abysmal. I mean, yeah, he was decent for fantasy for the first couple weeks, but that's only because he got so many touches. His yards per carry were terrible. We saw Aaron Jones be decent until he got hurt. We saw Jamal Williams be actually pretty darn good down the stretch, but now that they're all healthy and we're going to a new season, we're hearing all these narratives. I know here on the show, I know Jason and I'm not sure where you land, CJ, but I know Jason and I are big Jamal Williams fans, but we're not sure how it's going to shake out. A lot of the narratives that we're hearing, rumors coming out of the camp, is that it may be really close, but expect Aaron Jones to pull away with it once they're in the season. Ty Montgomery's this wild card. We don't know if he's going to be a running back, be a slot guy, if he's going to jump between the two. It's just really murky right now, and I mean, there's no answers to be found. So what are your guys' thoughts on the Green Bay running back committee?
I mean, I look at this committee and I'm feeling like it's a throwback to me because I'm feeling like looking like the old Carolina Panthers team with D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart. That's what I'm looking at with these two-headed back that they got here with these cats with Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones. So both of them, I know last name slipped my mind, but both of them are great. Both of them are great young backs. They both had their time in the to shine last season. So I guess you just got to pick your poison and what you want to be able to go with, because I don't really see a wrong spot to go to. But they're on this list for a reason, as far as, too many backs back there and backfields you want to stay away from. But I mean, there's talent there. And I do see people most likely going to draft one of these cats and then just hope for the best. But my front runner out of this group is Aaron Jones for me.
Fair enough. Jason, what do you think?
I go the other way. I like Jamal Williams out of this group. I think that he showed the most promise, the most upside of that running back group. Even when Aaron Jones was healthy and playing well, Jamal Williams was a better back when he got his opportunity. I actually, in my mock drafts, I have been targeting Jamal Williams in the mid to late rounds.
So no love for Ty Montgomery? We're not even thinking he's going to be a
wide
receiver.
I think he's going back to wide receiver to go.
He's going to be a wide receiver, or every now and then maybe a gadget player out of the backfield.
See, that's what I'm thinking. He's going to be kind of the Swiss Army Tavon Austin type guy. They're going to just kind of shift around.
Yeah.
I just don't see a role for him because he's just kind of this in-between receiver, running back body type. He's athletic. He can do a little bit of both, but I don't think he excels at either one. I want it to be Jamal Williams. I think Jamal Williams is the guy. It's just I think that Aaron Jones was explosive, and that's something that everybody likes. That's eye-catching on film. So maybe that's where the narrative's coming from. But I think that Jamal Williams is going to be the guy. But that being said, I don't want to steer anyone wrong. So this is why we're saying this is a backfield to avoid. If you guys were listening to my mock draft on Tuesday's show, I was saying that a strategy that I've been recommending to people here is that basically once one goes, target the other a round or two later, because you'll get the better value there, and you won't
have the old Raiders system.
Yeah,
the old Raiders system.
Crabtree, Cooper.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the kind of way I'm approaching a number of these backfields. A lot of them you want a piece of, because if you get the guy who's going to get the bulk, you've got a serious contributor for your team, but there's just no clear answer right now. So I'll put it to you this way, and this kind of makes me laugh. Right now, according to Fantasy Football Calculator, the ADP for Ty Montgomery is the 9th pick in the 6th round.
Oh, no.
No.
Not.
Let that go.
Way too high.
Jamal Williams, the 2nd pick in the 7th round. Not too bad.
Not too bad.
Wow.
Not too bad. Aaron Jones, the 3rd pick in the 8th round.
Oh, steal. Give me that, please.
Yeah. It is interesting because that's fluctuated because it used to be flip-flopped. Aaron Jones was the guy, and all these narratives are that Aaron Jones was the guy. But now over the last 30 days of mock drafts going on, Jamal Williams has moved up. And this just kind of shows that nobody knows what's going on because I don't think anyone should be drafting Ty Montgomery, and here he is as the top guy even. So this whole thing has kind of flipped.
I'll put $2 into that auction. I'll do
that. you put a $2 bid on Ty Montgomery?
$2 bid.
Yeah. No, not Ty Montgomery. Aaron Jones.
Fair enough. Jones. Have you guys seen how the I don't know how much stuff you've been getting? The hype train's coming up. People want auction content. I can't wait.
That's right. That's what we are. We're a tease. We're a tease. Everybody else, they give you everything you want, and you're like, hey, they wait till it's 3 a.m. and you're like, hey, let me get some.
There is one other podcast that I know of that covers auction like we do, and they seem to only do a couple shows a season. So we'll have to pick up more of that, I think. We talk about it a lot over on Patreon, but maybe we'll do a little bit more here as well. But anyway, yeah, so that's, again, whichever one's there the latest will be the guy that I'm going to probably snatch up, unless it's Ty Montgomery. I might just let Ty Montgomery walk, honestly. I don't know.
I was going to say, let him go. Let him go.
It's really that narrative for me is between Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones, so we'll see. Ty Montgomery, I think, is going to be the third down, extreme change of pace back. Let's go to Baltimore and my Baltimore Ravens running back committee.
Do we have to?
Only because it's our job to. Otherwise, I would say I'd rather not. So if you look at the depth chart right now.
Let's vote. Do we have to do it?
No? You don't want to talk about
I said we do. I said we move it on to the next.
You don't want to talk about one of the murkiest running back committees in the league and help our listeners where there are 6 running backs on the roster currently?
Almost as much, the same amount of as the tight ends, right? Let's see here. 6 running backs.
There are 6 tight ends, yes.
4, 6, 8, 7 tight ends. Oh, man.
Oh, Lord.
Almost.
Wait, 7? What?
7 tight ends? I'm counting 7, guys.
7 tight ends?
2, 4, 6. Yep, 7
Oh,
tight
yeah,
ends.
that's right. I forgot about Darren Waller, who's suspended. Whoops. Yeah, 7 tight ends. Shut up. Moving on. We practice hard, all right? We need extra bodies. All right, so
exactly.
Right now, the bodies will hit the floor, as a famous song composer once said.
Oh, yeah.
So
I believe you.
They do quite often in Baltimore. So Alex Collins is currently penciled in as the day 1 starter. Now, we all liked what we saw out of him. The concern here is his ability to catch out of the backfield, to an extent, pass protection, and I don't think he necessarily has the ability to break tackles. He's very shifty. He's very fast. I think he's quick. I don't know if he's fast, but he's very quick in short area. He's got great burst, and that's the whole Riverdance thing. He's got great agility. He's appealing, but I don't think he's the full package that the Ravens kind of want, and that's why they were talking about going out and signing a big name home run hitter running back, which they didn't end up doing.
Which they did not do.
Yeah.
Hey, why get a good running back when you can get 3 good tight ends? You know what I mean?
When you can burn a first and a third round pick on a tight end.
What is this, Power Rangers? They just morph into one? What is happening here?
Yes, they were all mold. It's like Captain Planet. 5 of them become one. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. And then you'll have a superhero at the tight end position. Some superhero names on the team.
Super tight end.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Anyway, so Alex Collins currently penciled in as the starter. Behind him, 2 guys who are very interesting to look at. Obviously, Kenneth Dixon, a guy who the Ravens, I still think can be that 3-down answer. They have a lot of faith in the guy. He can do all 3 phases, but off-the-field issues are concerned. Injuries have been a problem for him, and he has to earn it now. So we'll see. He's actually 3rd on the depth chart behind Javorius Buck Allen, who is really more of that 3rd down pass catching guy. He can run. He's decent in space. I think he has good vision, but I don't think he's great at breaking tackles. I think he's a little undersized. Those are the 3 known names. Now, behind them, there is Gus Edwards, there is DeLawrence Turner, and there's Mark Thompson, all 3 of which were people that they just picked up after the draft. So I'm not including them in the equation here. I'm focusing on those first 3 guys. How do you think this plays out, or do you think this will be a true 3-headed rushing attack, a running back by committee type approach? Because that's kind of where I'm leaning right now.
I think it's going to be a 2-headed system for me. I think it's going to be between Collins and Dixon. I'm like you, Griffin. I mean, I think I'm the one that actually put you on to Dixon. I said I really like him when you guys drafted him. He can be that receiving back for you guys and to be able to get between the tackles. But I think and steer me if I'm wrong, but the way that you guys been playing, you want that receiving type back. That's why you guys went ahead and got Danny Woodhead last year, but you still want those bruisers. So I think Alex Collins, he serves a purpose in this system where that short yardage gaining, so he can be able to do, and then on third down, if Kenneth Dixon, keeps his nose clean, he can be that guy for you too. He's bigger than Danny Woodhead. He's got a little more size on him, and like I said, he can still be able to run between the tackles, and he's great receiving the ball. So for me, I see those two guys being the main workhorses in this backfield. And then if one of them gets injured, then Buck Allen shows his head.
See, I agree with you on that. That's kind of where I'm leaning as well. I don't know if they're going to stick to it. I think they're going to want to mix it up and mix and match and do crazy formations because that seems to be something they like to do, and I just don't know. But I think that if they're smart, that's what they will do, is a two-headed system with a third guy in rotation. Jason, you have anything you want to add?
That was actually exactly what I was thinking, was that Kenneth Dixon and Alex Collins probably will be your two-headed attack. Buck Allen will probably be there in reserve or as a third down option. But I do, and again, I guess we're in lockstep with this one because I think the same way you guys do about Kenneth Dixon. I think Kenneth Dixon is your guy. I think he needs to be the third down back. He needs to get the lion's share of the touches because I think he's the most explosive guy in the backfield, and I think he's going to give you guys the best opportunity to move the ball. I
don't disagree, but as of right now, Alex Collins is the only one of the Baltimore Ravens running backs that's being drafted. Do you get where would you take him in this scenario? I'm going to ask you before I tell you this time.
Alex Collins.
Ninth round.
He's probably. I don't know. I think he's going a little higher than that. I'm going to say seventh. Let's say seventh round.
That's where you guys feel comfortable taking him with this whole uncertainty and the fact that we all think that he will probably be a backup.
Okay, two things. One, I think that's where he's going. I think he's going in the seventh. Okay. I will take him. And I will take him where Jason said. I will take him in the ninth. But I think he's going in the seventh.
He's going as the fifth pick in the fourth round.
What?
Oh, negative.
Wow.
He is going as the 20th running back off the board, sandwiched between Jerick McKinnon ahead of him and Carlos Hyde behind him. So
behind him.
That's a lot of optimism.
Yeah.
And I want to be crystal clear here. I really like Alex Collins. I just don't think that he has that ceiling. Unless there are injuries behind him and he gets the full workload. And then I think he could probably make it happen, but I don't know. It's going to be too murky. I think there's going to be too much dilution of touches in the backfield, and I don't see a way he returns on fourth-round value. So that's kind of my view, looking at it from the inside as a Ravens fan. So let's move on. Let's go to the Indianapolis Colts, and I'm going to throw this one. CJ, you talked a bit. Let's go to Jason. Jason, what are your thoughts on the Colts?
Well, the offensive line got a big upgrade like they needed to, and we've all been saying it for years. Indianapolis needed to upgrade their offensive line. They finally went out and did that this year. So Malinek actually might get an opportunity to be a productive runner. So we could see it. However, still very risky. There's a lack of clarity right now with Andrew Luck being out. We don't know when he's coming back. Andrew Luck makes this offense go. And Marlon Mack is not a high-ceiling running back. He is a high volume running back. The more volume he gets, the better he's going to be. So the question is going to be, are they going to be able to, even with an upgraded offensive line, are they going to be able to keep a sustained running attack going? And at the moment, I don't know. I really don't know. So this is too murky for me. I would not mess around with Marlon Mack too much.
CJ?
Yeah, man. For me, I'm right there with stride with Jason. I need Andrew Luck to be there to take the pressure off of Marlon Mack. I don't think that he can be that 3-down back for them in this system. I need to see something else, because right now, if I'm picturing the way I think this is going to go, he's going to get a lot of volume, but he's not going anywhere. That's the way I'm seeing it. So he's going to be pretty much useless for you for fantasy, because what's the point of you getting all these crazy touches and you're getting nowhere close to the yardage where I need you to get, or even get to the red zone? So that's the thing.
Yeah, for me, we talk about this particular running back committee as not even a committee problem. They burned a 4th-round pick on Naheem Hines, a 5th-rounder on Jordan Wilkins, and I'm honestly not that concerned because I think this is clearly Marlon Mack's backfield right now. Though just a 4th-rounder a year ago, so there's 2 4th-rounders in the mix, so who knows? It could be interesting. But as of right now, I side with Marlon Mack, but my concerns are the rest of the team. Andrew Luck not being there, they're just going to stack the box like they did last year. They're going to force, with Andrew Luck's not going to be there, beat Jacoby Brissett again. They're going to force Jacoby Brissett to beat them through the air. They have decent weapons, but if Andrew Luck is or is not there, it's going to be what makes or breaks this backfield for me, which is why I think drafting Marlon Mack is a little bit risky. The offensive line, they invested a 1st-round pick on a left guard in Quentin Nelson. It's improved, but it's still it needs some love. If I'm honest. They burned a 2nd-rounder on a right guard, too, which I guess is good, but he's not currently slated to start. So, progress. But it all falls to Andrew Luck, and since we don't know with Andrew Luck, for me, that's what makes Marlon Mack scary. So I'll ask you guys then, Marlon Mack, where do you think he's going right now?
4th round.
Ugh, God, no.
No, I'm not saying I take him. I'm saying I think that's where he's going.
Yeah, please. I would take him in the 10th. Please tell me he's going no later than the 7th.
Where would you take him, Jason? A guy who we think will have the workload.
I would not take him until at least the end of the 7th round.
All right, well, you guys are both pretty close. He's currently going as the 3rd pick in the 8th round.
Okay, all right.
So that's acceptable. I would invest an 8th-round pick in Marlon Mack because the upside is a number 1 volume running back. So we'll see. I just think that gives him a good floor, not necessarily a high ceiling. So it'll be a flex play at that point, a bye-week fill-in. But could be good value in the 8th. Could be a steal. So we'll see. Let's go to the Miami Dolphins. Now, the Miami Dolphins, this is a team that is unbelievably polarizing depending on who you talk to. There's a lot of people who don't believe in Adam Gase, at least not being able to put this offense together as the head coach. There's a lot of question marks about the offensive pieces. There's question marks at wide receiver, quarterback, and we thought we had a very clear-cut situation at running back. We all really liked Kenyon Drake. We liked what we saw last year when given the opportunity. We thought this was going to be his backfield, and we were all excited about it. Well, then they go and they bring in Frank Gore. A guy who has been perennially a top running back in the league, especially even for fantasy. They also then burn a 4th-round pick on Kalen Ballage, so that's another thing you have to worry about. So all of a sudden, it's murky behind a suspect offensive line with a quarterback situation which some people, myself included, have a lot of questions about, with Ryan Tannehill starting and Brock Osweiler behind him. And, of course, the wide receivers, they are a little polarizing as well. But I actually don't mind the wide receiver core. You guys know my love for Devontae Parker, and he's been getting a lot of great offseason narratives yet again this year. Not that I'm buying in, but it's there.
Best shape of his life.
Best shape of his life, and that he's been taking the offseason seriously. He hasn't been known for a good work ethic, but he's been at the facility more than any other players, the narrative we're hearing. Obviously,
he's like that bad kid that showed up to class on time, and everybody's like, he came on time. He's on time, everybody.
Now, did he show up to class on time, or did he show up to detention on time? That's the important distinction.
Exactly. Either way, it's not good.
Yeah. Kenny Stills is there, obviously. They brought in Danny Amendola, which slot guy filling the Jarvis Landry role. That should keep things kind of working. What do you guys? Okay, I'll just start with this. How do you guys think this is going to play out? Jason, I'm going to throw it to you.
Well, Frank Gore is going to be your 1-2 down back. Drake is going to be there as the change of pace guy. He's also a high-level handcuff. I wouldn't have any problems targeting either one of these two guys because I think they are going to get volume. The interesting little piece there is going to be Kalen Ballage because they're almost 6'3", 230-pound dude. They're going to use him on the goal line. He could snipe some touchdowns. So a lot of volume going to different people, kind of murky, not a good idea to take in the upper rounds.
You're not at all thinking that it would be Kenyon Drake in there and then Frank Gore as like the not third down, but as the short yardage back?
Why in the world? I was going to say, you're not going to put Frank Gore
No,
as
no,
a
no,
third
no.
down back.
No. I don't want him.
Ridiculous.
I don't want him out there in pass pro and getting open field catches. I don't want that.
No.
But
I mean, he can do it, but that's not what his forte is. And no, I don't see them saving Frank Gore for the goal line. He is a guy that needs volume. He needs to be fed the ball to be aggressive and do those kinds of things. And I think that's what they're going to do until the wheels come off.
Yeah, but he's pretty ancient at this point, too, so maybe they'll be safe with him. Kenyon Drake knows the system, and I mean, and this is, again, why it's very confusing and people don't know what to expect, because you could make a compelling argument in either direction. Until we see it, we just won't know. So I guess, CJ, what's your thoughts?
No, I had no idea why they even brought Frank Gore there to begin with, and it annoyed me because if we finally get to see a piece in Kenyon Drake and see him balling, and we're like, okay, well, let's get a full season out of this, and then you do something like this, and it just irritates me. But the way I see it working out is kind of the opposite the way Jason said it. I got Kenyon Drake getting the first, second down, and on short down situations, I can see Frank Gore, coming in and doing something like that. Not too familiar with the other kid that you guys were talking about, but hey, I trust you guys' opinion when it comes to that. But I'm hoping for Kenyon Drake. I really like what he brought to the offense last year, and right now with them not really having an identity, I think the best thing for them to do would be to run the ball and to trust that running back field, because I think that's the best thing they have that is consistent with at least one player that you have back there that you can be able to give him the reins and let him work. So that's me with that. I mean, you want me to figure out where I'm going to draft him? Is that what you want to talk about now?
Yeah, sure. Where would you take Kenyon?
I would take Kenyon in the third round.
Third? Ooh, yeah. Ballsy. Jason, I'm assuming you would take him much later because you think Frank Gore is going to be the starter.
Yeah. I wouldn't. I definitely wouldn't take him in the third. I don't know. With this backfield, it's very hard because it is very kind of murky. I mean, Frank Gore is number one on the depth chart right now.
Yep.
So I mean, I think they're thinking of him as their lead back. So that's another reason to kind of go, But are you talking about Kenyon Drake or Gore or both?
Either or. Actually, no. Give me both. Yeah, go for both. Because you think it's going to be flipped. So.
Well, I'm playing the odds that Gore is going to fall. So I'll take Gore in the late rounds because I can get him in the late rounds. Because everybody's thinking like you guys. Oh, he's 3,000 years old. He's not going to, So I'm picking him up I've picked him up in as late as the 15th round before. And to me, I'm like, great. I'll take a starting running back in the 15th round. That's no problem. As far as Kenyon Drake goes, if Gore does go down, Kenyon Drake is going to be a high level handcuff. Like we said, I do like him when he gets his opportunity. So I think he is going right now. I've seen him go somewhere around like the 7th round. I wouldn't mind taking him in the 9th.
Well, let's see. So Frank Gore, he is currently 35 years old. So he is basically a fossil running around out there. He has 14 years in the league, a lot of miles on his body, and yet he still continues to be amazing. That's the annoying thing. The masses seem to agree with CJ and I's perception because, again, he's a new guy coming into a new system. I think he fills a need for them as a short yardage guy, but you could easily see a world where he's the first, second down back, and Kenyon Drake is that 3 down or 3rd down, could do either or, pass pro, go out wide, run the ball type guy. I don't know, but the masses seem to think that that's the way it's going to be. Kenyon Drake's currently going where I would probably take him as the 6th pick in the 4th round, so a little bit behind where CJ is willing to take him. Frank Gore going as the last running back off the board as the 6th pick in the 14th round. So, I mean, that's great value there. I agree with you, Jason. I'll pick him up all day, every day, and just to have the upside there. If nothing else, a handcuff to a guy you're spending a early round pick on in Kenyon Drake if you get him. So, it's compelling, it's interesting, it's confusing, it's frustrating, it needs some clarity, and as of right now, in the beginning of June, we just don't have it. And so if you're drafting right now, this is a slight gamble you're going to have to take right here, so just keep it in mind. Another running back backfield that this one's gone through a lot of changes this year.
Even worse.
Yeah. This one has no clarity whatsoever. I think I have my assumptions, but I'm going to let you guys talk, is the Denver Broncos. I just think this could be a full running back by committee. So, CJ, what are your thoughts?
I think this is the worst one yet. If we could rank these, I think this is number one.
Fair enough.
This is the number one big board. But look, this team has never believed in Devontae Booker, so that's a big red flag right there. So the only other guy that I see there that listening to you guys during the draft season and everything is Freeman. I think this is Freeman's opportunity to be able to get that because the other two guys are not too familiar with. But if Devin Booker, I know this organization doesn't believe in him, so it's got to be the next man up.
Well, I mean, Devontae Booker, a 4th-round pick in 2016, so a couple years ago. He's been given the opportunity on a couple occasions when C.J. Anderson has gone down. He's really failed to do anything with it. He was okay in short bursts and flashes, and then when he got the full workload, crumbled. Royce Freeman, a 3rd-round pick from this year, so higher draft capital, more recent investment, and I think could be a better fit. So it's compelling, and I lean that I think that Royce Freeman will be the starter week 1. But let's not forget, D'Angelo Henderson's also there. David Williams they drafted, and they also signed Phillip Lindsay. So it's a lot of names, a lot of bodies, and this could be just a very congested, spread the ball around type backfield and kind of take the hot hand approach, unfortunately, between probably Freeman and Booker. So that's really annoying, and that is what makes it really tough to evaluate these guys individually and see who you think is the better value, obviously, for drafts. Jason, what do you think?
This is it's interesting how negative about this backfield a lot of people are being, and I understand it. I get it. But at the same time, looking at this backfield, they've actually got some sneaky talent going on in this backfield. They've got the perfect situation if they choose to use it, which would be Royce Freeman as their main back and Devontae Booker as a change of pace guy. He would work much better as a change of pace guy. He cannot carry the load. He's already proven he cannot carry the load. So Devontae Booker will not be a thing. I think Royce Freeman is going to be their 3-down back with a smattering of Devontae Booker coming in. I think Freeman he's the bigger back. Obviously, he's more ready to take that role and carry the load. However, I would not take these guys, either of them. I wouldn't take Devontae Booker, at all. Royce Freeman I would not take until probably late mid-rounds.
All right. Yeah, I agree. I think that Royce Freeman makes sense as the lead back, and then Booker could be a nice change of pace. We've seen that he can do that, like I already mentioned. So that's what I think logically they should do. I don't know if that's what they're going to do, is the annoyance. And then, of course, offensive line problems. I'm not wild about the whole quarterback situation. We talked about this in great length, how I'm not a believer that Case Keenum is the answer there. Paxton Lynch, obviously not either. Chad Kelly behind them. So that's going to hurt because if they can't pass the ball through the air, it's just going to stack the line. So you're saying late mid-rounds. CJ, who are you targeting? Wow, and where? I can talk.
I will target Freeman, and it's I'm throwing a dollar bid at him, towards the end of the draft.
So in an auction draft, what about a snake draft?
Snake draft, he is probably gonna be my last pick. So yeah.
You would invest no capital in Freeman at all? You just didn't want nothing to do with it?
I'll take a shot on him, but I'm not. Nothing more than the 12th round.
Yeah. See, for a guy who I think should and hopefully will emerge at least as a workhorse back, I'll invest kind of like Jason said. I could see a late mid-round, 8th to 10th round sounds good to me. Let's see. They are both being drafted. Royce Freeman is going ahead of Devontae Booker. Royce Freeman going as the 10th pick in the 10th round. So that's fine for me. I would spend that. Devontae Booker going as the 7th pick in the 12th round. So probably earlier than I would take him based on our assumptions, but with the confusion with the committee right now, makes sense to have them pretty close together. There's only one running back going between them, and that is Spencer Ware, a guy who also we don't know what to expect. I don't think it's going to take anything away in Kansas City, but that's a whole other conversation that we're not going to talk about today. So with that, let's talk about a couple of other bonus ones. Now, these are ones that we're paying close attention to because a lot of them we think we know what's going to happen, but if one or two things changes, the whole script could be flipped. So we'll see how many of these we can get to. I don't think we'll have time to get to all of them. Maybe we'll talk about them more on Patreon. But let's start with the Oakland Raiders. Now, the reason these guys are on here, and obviously your gut reaction's probably like, wait, why the Raiders? They already have Marshawn Lynch. Well, that's true, but Marshawn Lynch, he's pretty up there in age, and there's been a lot of narratives coming out of Oakland that Doug Martin is actually showing well, which, again, this is offseason narrative. We always hear this about Doug Martin. I'm not necessarily buying into it, but
I was going to say.
we know that John Gruden is a big Doug Martin fan. He brought him in. He signed him. They also have Jalen Richard and DeAndre Washington, both guys that the previous regime were very high on, and all these guys in the mix. If Marshawn Lynch starts showing his age, his injuries start rearing up, he could easily be kind of kicked to the wayside, and one of these guys could step in and fill that role. We assume that's going to be Doug Martin, but the whole Oakland Raiders offense is very, very confusing right now with John Gruden coming in and shaking it up the way that he has. So it's worth discussing. So I you know what? I'm going to throw this to Jason, because Jason, you're the biggest Marshawn Lynch fan on the team here. So what do you think's happening in Oakland?
All I can hear when you say Doug Martin is Admiral Akbar in my ear, just going, "Get the slap!" Don't do it.
That's fair. That's fair.
Don't do it. Do not believe in Doug Martin again. Every time we've given him the option, he's tantalized us, and he could be so good, and then he does nothing.
He has a good year. He had a good year.
He had two
good
good years.
One good year.
Two.
Aren't you the one, CJ, that told me never believe in somebody who had one good year?
He's had two.
He had two.
Rookie year and his fourth year. Or was it third year? His fourth year?
Year and a half.
Year.
Anyway, the point is
what?
that
He
I'm
had
making
1,400 yards
that
both those seasons.
Marshawn Lynch, are you done?
I am now.
Marshawn Lynch had a lot more than 2 good years, okay? And he is the unquestioned starter in that backfield. I believe that he is the highest ceiling guy, even with Doug Martin being on the team. They have a good situation now because they've got some really talented guys behind Marshawn Lynch, including Jalen Ramsey and, of course, Doug Martin. Doug Martin, to me, is a high-level handcuff. I think Marshawn Lynch is still your guy. You still are going to invest in him because, come on, it's Marshawn Lynch.
32 years old going into the season, just putting that out there.
Great. How old's Gore?
35, was it, I think?
Yeah.
Look, I'm not debating the fact that Marshawn Lynch is going to be, we think, the guy to start the season, and therefore should be drafted as such. But the narratives are interesting. It's something worth noting, and it's one of those things where if Marshawn Lynch goes down, who's the next guy up, which is where it also gets murky. We think it's Doug Martin. We expect it to be Doug Martin. It could easily be one of the other guys. So that's why we brought this, this is his own separate category that we're talking about these guys now.
Sure.
But so with all the uncertainty in Oakland, where would you take Marshawn Lynch this year?
Me?
Sure, let's start with you, Jason. You're the highest.
Okay. Marshawn, well, I learned my lesson from last year. Okay, I invested very high in Marshawn Lynch. I believed in Marshawn Lynch. I think I was a year too early on that. And now with Gruden coming in, I have no idea what's going to happen with this offense because you just don't know. Gruden is he's a nut. He's a nutcase. So
He's a nut.
The question is going to be, what happens here? I still think Marshawn Lynch is going to get a lot of volume with Gruden there. So I probably would take him in the 4th round.
All right.
I agree.
4th?
I agree. Yeah, 4th round too.
Because of the uncertainty, I would probably take him. I think he'll be gone in the 4th probably, but I would take him in the 5th. Still an early round pick, but I'd like a little bit more of a sure thing and something I expect to play the whole season, my first 3-4 rounds. So I would take him in the 5th round probably. And let's see, how's this playing out? Marshawn Lynch currently going as the 11th pick in the 5th round. So almost a 6th rounder. I'm okay with that. I mean, heck, if you can get Marshawn Lynch as a late 5th, early 6th round pick, that's good for all of our evaluations.
Yeah.
Doug Martin going as the 2nd pick in the 10th. So he's kind of creeping up boards right now.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. There's a lot of faith in the guy. I'm trying to see the high. How high do you think Doug Martin has been taken in mock drafts in the last 30 days?
There's always one crazy psycho fan that probably took him in like the 5th round or something.
I was about to say the 6th. I think the 6th is the highest he's gotten, probably.
Yep, he has been taken as the 11th pick in the 6th round, is the highest he's climbed. So that's a little bit it's a little spicy for the pepper there.
A little spicy.
So yeah, that's probably a trap. So yeah, let's move on. The New England Patriots. Now, my note that I wrote here, I still stand by. I simply wrote table flip. I'm done. I quit on the Patriots. We really thought we knew what was going to happen here. Then they added freaking Jeremy Hill. Then they go out and burn a first-round pick on Sony Michel to add to Rex Burkhead and James White and Mike Gillislee. And I guess Brandon Bolden's also there, but he's not really worth mentioning to me. So there's 5 guys here that are all in the conversation for starting touches. So this is a very confusing and, depending on who you talk to, incredibly polarizing backfield. Now, to me, Jeremy Hill, Mike Gillislee, they fill the same role. They're going to be that goal line, push the pile type running back. Probably one of these guys will be on the team come the season. I don't expect them to keep both of them. They have money invested in both. I have to research which one they'd save more on, and maybe that will make the decision easier. But that's something you have to take into account. Rex Burkhead can do all 3 phases, and we know the Patriots love that because it does not tip their hand. So we thought it was going to be probably Rex Burkhead as the lead back, James White, the change of pace third down back, and one of those 2 that were going to come in and be the goal line, short yardage type situation. Then they bring in the explosive first rounder in Sony Michel, who can also do all 3 phases. Not necessarily as big as Rex Burkhead, but very explosive, and just throws a wrench into the whole situation. So I ask you guys, whoever wants to jump in first, what are you doing? What are you thinking? How are you playing and planning for the Patriots come draft season?
For draft season,
I wrote. I'm sorry.
I was like, you took the last 2. I was just trying to get in there.
CJ, take it away.
All right. So listen. So here's my strategy about the Patriots, man. Wow. So I like, of course, Rex Burkhead. That's my guy, and I know Bill Belichick really likes him too. So I just went ahead and go with him. And then I'm taking a deep dive on Sony Michel because I'm like, okay, look, you drafted this kid pretty high. I'm gonna think that you're gonna take a crack at this dude. So Bill Belichick, I'm going to take one of your strategies, and I'm gonna go for Rex Burkhead. Maybe I'm probably going for him like in the 9th round, and then like I'm taking a late pick, maybe my second to last pick, and I'm taking it on Sony Michel, and then I'm just gonna watch it play out.
Jason?
Yeah. The note I wrote down when I first saw this was Bill Belichick doesn't care about your damn fantasy team.
That's true.
Yeah,
that is true.
They just really don't. This team is very good in real football life. Okay, so that's why they do it this way, because it's the right tool for the job. And that's why he has so many of these guys, and that's why he keeps so many of these guys throughout the season. No true number 1 guy. Everybody's a good role player. So you just don't know. Like, I'm not a believer in Rex Burkhead, not because of Rex Burkhead, but because of the way this offense works. Yeah, Rex Burkhead might be the best possibility for them, but they're not going to use him the way that any other team would use Rex Burkhead. They're going to use him when they want to use him, then they're not going to use him when they don't want to use him. So just like almost anything else with New England, I usually just steer clear of the backfield.
Yeah. So the masses. We're going to go on ADP here. We're not even going to talk. There's too many guys to guess ADPs on. Right now, Rex Burkhead is being taken as the top running back off the board as the 5th pick in the 7th round. How do you guys feel about that?
Too high.
Too high?
Yeah, a little too high. A little rich.
Sony Michel, taken as the 2nd pick in the 8th round, 1 round later.
Ooh, too rich.
Would you take the approach, since both of these are 3-down guys, would you take the same approach that I was saying with Green Bay, whichever one goes first, take the other?
Yeah. I will.
That's where I'm leaning.
That's about where I would take either one of those 2 guys is the 8th round. That's where I would take a New England guy. Yeah.
The middle of the mid-rounds. Also, the only other one being drafted currently is not James White. It's not Mike Gillislee. It's Jeremy Hill as the 9th pick in the 12th round. It's a late round flyer, so whatever, they can have that. So my interest is between Burkhead and Michel. So Yeah, middle rounds, you can make an argument because we've seen this offense sustain 2 running backs. The expectation is Sony Michel will step in and assume that Dion Lewis role. But the extra wrinkles are what makes this unbelievably confusing. Rex Burkhead has been in the system. He's been a pro. He knows what he's doing. Maybe he's more of the Dion Lewis role, and Sony Michel comes in as the change of pace. Who knows? So I'm very much leaning towards, as long as it's the middle rounds, whichever one goes first, I'll probably target the other one a round or 2 later. That's the only way I can approach this backfield, because otherwise I'm going to feel like I reached for one of these guys, and odds are you probably will have. So that's just kind of how I feel about it. Oh, man, we're basically out of time. Let's see. Let's do one more. So I'll leave this to you guys. Do you want to talk about the Cleveland Browns, the Tennessee Titans, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or the Detroit Lions? I think the last 2 are the most interesting ones to me.
I like Tennessee.
Tennessee? Jason, who do you want to talk about?
Well, I guess we don't. I was going to say Detroit, but we don't have to talk about them. They're the worst running team in football, pretty much. So I'm all right with Tennessee. It's fine.
Okay. Well, I was going to say Tampa yeah, okay. So we'll talk about that more maybe on Patreon. But, yeah, Detroit, a lot of running backs, bad offensive line, not a great offensive running philosophy. We'll see. Tampa Bay, there's a rookie that we like. Could be a gamble. We'll see how it works out. Cleveland, Carlos Hyde was expected to be the starter. Nick Chubb's there. That's dangerous. But, yes, the Titans. The Titans are very, very polarizing. This is another one of those situations where you just don't know how it's going to play out. Depending on who you talk to, you hear a different narrative. Now, obviously, if we go back just a couple months, there was the huge narrative that, oh, here he comes, Derrick Henry, hype train, leaving the station. This guy is going to be finally a starter in this league. Fantasy #1 running back, probably low end, but with the upside. Then they signed Dion Lewis, who has been a #1 running back, a 3-down back throughout his career. So depending on who you talk to, the thought process is that it's either going to be Derrick Henry, who's going to be a first, second down back, Dion Lewis, a 3rd down change of pace back. You also hear about Dion Lewis being the lead back, and then Derrick Henry coming in and being the change of pace, short yardage, red zone back. Which way are you guys leaning? Do you think this will be a running back by committee? Do you think this will be just a timeshare in general? What are your thoughts? CJ, you wanted to talk about the Titans first. Let's start with you.
Yeah. Well, listen, here's my thing. I'm just like you, the way you were building up to this thing. I was all in on Derrick Henry this year. Waiting for him to get rid of that dead weight and that
DeMarco Murray. You loathe him so much.
I loathe
for no reason.
So loathe, not love. Loathe.
Just because he spent 1 year with your Eagles and he was not a good fit, that's not a reason to hate a guy.
No. I don't like people holding back talent, and that's what Derrick Henry is. He's talented, and he had to wait his turn behind that dumpster fire of a guy in DeMarco Murray.
Wow.
But listen, so now he has his shine. Then he has his moment, but then you go get Dion Lewis. And I have nothing against Dion Lewis, but what are you doing? There's no reason to make this that murky. So now it goes down to this. It's got to be like this. Is this a situation where, you hate to do this, but do you draft both guys? Do you draft Derrick Henry because you love the talent and you know that he's most likely going to get the touches, but you don't know the way the coaching staff is going to go. So do you take Dion Lewis because you think he's going to get the most of the touches and get the opportunities to catch the ball because Derrick Henry hasn't shown that part of his game yet? So for me, going into this season, I have Derrick Henry ranked a lot higher than I have for Dion Lewis, and I'm actually drafting as such. I'm going to have Derrick Henry be my guy. Hopefully he gets the workload that he should get, and then go from there. That's my thing.
Jason,
I am gonna go out on a limb here. I did not fully buy into Derrick Henry last year for several reasons. I'm buying in this year. I think this year is Derrick Henry's year. I think he's going to be the guy. I think that the Titans have been waiting for an opportunity to make him the guy. It just seems like a natural fit. He is big. He's fast. He can catch. He's talented. I think that he is your #1 guy in Tennessee, and I think Dion Lewis will be a change of pace back, and that's how I'm going to draft.
Yeah.
See, I don't know what their intentions are, and that's the confusing thing. I do know how I think it's going to play out. Dion Lewis has a long track record of getting injured, so for that reason alone, I'm going to take Derrick Henry higher. So no matter how this plays out, Derrick Henry to me, 3rd rounder sounds good. though his floor could be considerably below that. If you could get him in the 4th or 5th round, that would be preferable, but I don't think he'll be there. Dion Lewis later than that because of the injury concern. But I would imagine they're close together. You could take the once one goes, take the other one approach, but I just feel like, why take the injury risk in Dion Lewis, even though he could be the workhorse? But who knows? We could be wrong. So, I don't know. What about you guys? Where sounds like a good value to you?
For Lewis?
Yeah.
Probably 5th, 6th round, maybe.
And where would you take Henry again?
I would take Henry, and I'm taking him high. I'm probably like taking him like in the 3rd round, 3rd or 4th.
Okay, so what I was saying. Jason.
Yeah. I mean, well, depending on how the draft falls, because I've been seeing a lot of craziness in the mock drafts that I've been in. I saw an entire 1st round all running backs, not a single wide receiver taken. I thought that was crazy. But depending on how the runs, I would take Derrick Henry top of the 3rd. If that kind of thing happens and like a crap ton of running backs come off the board, I would consider taking him at the back of the 2nd.
Okay. So the masses agree with us. Derrick Henry is going not considerably higher, about 10 running backs higher. So Derrick Henry is currently going as the 12th pick in the 2nd round. So, yeah, right in line with basically what we've been saying. Spot on with what Jason just said. Dion Lewis going as the 7th pick in the 6th round. So, a guy who could be getting a good volume, I could see that. The thing that's crazy to me, I just kind of caught this out of the corner of my eye. What's the highest you think somebody would take Derrick Henry with this current situation?
Oh, probably mid-2nd round.
About the 205?
Yeah, probably 205.
205, 206? Jason, what, you think
Sure.
that's about right? The highest,
I could see someone taking him at the top of the 2nd round, honestly.
The highest he's been taken in mock drafts in the last 30 days was the 6th pick in the 1st round.
Wow.
Oh.
1st round pick.
That's,
I like it.
Believes.
I like it.
I sense a little bit of a homer in that pick, but
Ooh.
that's a little bit rich for my blood. So yeah, with that's just a little side note on how you never know how drafts are going to go. That's why we can't give you. A lot of people want to see like, oh, I want to see your top 200, 100, 300 players, in a vacuum, and it just doesn't work that way because your rankings are going to be different based on team need. Your drafts are going to be completely different based on what other players in your league do, and that's why it's better for you to have just all the facts and make an informed decision. And that's if someone in your league is taking Derrick Henry with the 6th pick in the 1st round, wow, that's pushing somebody down at least. So
yeah, thank you.
That's something.
I'll take that.
I mean, could it work out? Could he return on that value? Maybe. But there are much surer things that I'd be taking in the 1st round than Derrick Henry, who's in a committee as of this moment. So just saying.
I would be ballsy enough to say I would take Barkley before I take Henry.
Oh, I agree with that.
I would.
1st round. I think he probably is a 6th round pick. Yeah, in the 1st round.
I don't think there's anything ballsy about that. Saquon Barkley is currently going as the 5th pick in the 2nd, but he's been taken as high as. Okay, maybe this is a little ballsy. He's been taken as high as the 2nd pick in the 1st.
Whoa!
Whoa!
Okay, that's a little ballsy.
Wow!
That's a little crazy.
Wowzers, guys, what is happening? Listen, New York, I need you all to take a chill pill. Don't all draft mock draft at the same time.
Yeah, but this is how crazy it is, and this is why it's mock drafts. We've also seen one where Melvin Gordon went with the 101, which should never happen. So, yeah.
Oh, no.
And that's my guy, too. Wow, what the world?
Yeah, he should never, ever be the first player off the board. So,
do not draft your own team just because you like your team, okay?
It's gonna be a good year.
There you go.
It's going to be a good year.
Coming from an absolute homer, and I will completely agree with it.
Wow.
But just don't, okay? I'm not going to take Larry Fitzgerald as the first receiver off the board. I love Larry, but I would never do that. Crazy.
I don't know about that.
He'd do it for David Johnson, but then again, a lot of people would. A lot of people
would.
Well,
that's because he's the best running back in the league.
And there it is.
I'm going to do that.
With that, we are out of here. So make sure you guys tune in on Tuesday when we will be back talking about early mid-round values. So should be some good content there, and we'll update this, of course, as we go through the offseason. Make sure you guys subscribe, as we mentioned, wherever you're listening. YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, Podcast Addict, Google Play, wherever you are. Give us a rating, give us a review. Helps us out a ton. And submit your questions. let us know what your thoughts are. We're always looking to improve. You can contact us easily on Twitter at the FF Fanatics or individually. I'm at GPalmerFFF. CJ is at CJ Hickman89. Jason is at Jason Cabrera 13. And with that, we're out of here. So any parting thoughts, guys?
First of all, guys, thank you for commenting on our YouTube videos. Appreciate that. I saw those comments from the last couple of videos.
Always fun.
Definitely appreciate that. And reluctantly, I would like to say congratulations to the Washington Capitals for winning the Stanley Cup.
Why is that reluctantly? You live right by
Because
DC.
I hate the area, so yeah.
Jeez, oh my God, just move away. Congratulations to the Caps. That's what I'm gonna say. I mean, Baltimore. Everyone who knows me knows I'm a Baltimore sports fan, but Baltimore doesn't have a hockey team. So, like many other Baltimore
fans,
I'm a Caps fan.
You know what though? I'll say congratulations to to Las Vegas for getting as far as they did, because that's pretty impressive for an expansion team.
Yeah, way to get you guys butts kicked and humiliated. Yeah, good job for doing that.
Oh man, maybe we should just stick to football. All right, so we're out of here. We'll talk to you guys on Tuesday. Have a great weekend. We'll see you then, guys. Bye.
I was rooting for you guys so hard. I wanted to lose so bad.